Welcome to this exclusive video tutorial on how to use the business planner worksheet that I created for biz designers. We've gotten a lot of questions about that, and the worksheet is definitely a deep dive into the 7 business systems that we talked about in one of the early launch videos, and we are going to talk a little bit more about in one of the modules. But I wanted to take a few minutes, go ahead and get you guys started on how you can be using that worksheet on a weekly basis to help you build a profitable and sustainable business, which is our goal in this course. So first of all, it's a weekly worksheet, and it's something that you can print out once a week. So anytime you start with the worksheet, you're going to want to write week of at the top, and then keep the sheet in a handy place where you can fill it out throughout the week. Another thing to note on this is you're not going to sit down and fill this out all at once. I would actually recommend looking at it once a day, or if you just need a break from your computer screen looking at it, or look at it over lunch. We're not talking hours of time that need to be invested into this sheet to use it to help you grow to that profitable level. So let's start with system number 1, customers. The first 2 things I want you to do every single week is make sure you're listening to your customers. So this might be just calling a friend or a colleague and asking a question. My friend Lindsay McClanahan, who's actually filming this video right now, is somebody whose brain I love to pick once a month, and I really try to ask her questions that are going to help me get to know my customer better. The second thing I want you to do is learn. I really want you to have an open mind. So a lot of the times we think we know what our customers need, but we're really wrong. So when you listen, I also want you to open your mind and be willing to do some paradigm shifting in some of the answers that you might be hearing from your customers. The next 5 things I want you to think about on a weekly basis are easy to remember because they are the vowels A, E, I, O, and U. The first one is ambition. Just once a week, recap, what does your customer really want? For this course, what we identified for that is our customer wants to get to $1 million in business. Not 5, not 10, but she really wants to hit that 1 million mark, just to say she's done it. The second of the series of vowels is emotion, and just think about how your customer is feeling. Is she disappointed? Is she excited? Is she discouraged? What's her emotion? And just kind of document that for the week. Next point is, what's her issue? What problem is she struggling with? Try to think about that and document that there. Next point is, what obstacle? What's she trying to overcome? What hurdle or struggle is she dealing with that she's trying to beat right now? And then the final point is, how can you better understand her? I love Stephen Covey's quote, seek first to understand, then be understood. And in business, sometimes we really want to tell people what we are when we really need to be listening to our customers and understanding who they are so that we learn how to serve them better. Now, the next system I want us to talk about is the website system. The website system is really easy, and again, we'll dive more deeply into this in the module where we cover this information. But the first thing I want you to do for your website every week is go and just check it. Just go click around, check a couple links. Maybe lots of times people even email you and say, hey, this link is wrong, this link is broken. That's just what checking your website means. Then I want you to fix the things that are broken. This is probably going to take you 2 minutes or 5 minutes over a lunch break. Not hard. Then update your website. Click around, make sure that you've got recent relevant information. This could be as simple as changing out a graphic to note a holiday, but make sure that you don't have a Christmas graphic on the front page of your website when it's February. The next thing that I want you to do on your website on a weekly basis, and actually maybe even on a daily basis, is work on your SEO. So there are a lot of plugins, and we'll talk about this later in the course. There are definitely some resources and guides that we're going to be giving you on different ways that you can work on your SEO, really just 5-10 minutes a day. But you need to be doing it on an almost daily basis and definitely on a weekly basis. It's an ongoing thing that if you spend a little bit of time on an ongoing basis, you'll experience some long-term benefits. And we'll talk about that later on. And the final thing I want you to think about on website, and this doesn't necessarily apply to everyone, is a blog. see if you can blog at least once a week. And some of you might want to be blogging more, maybe even a couple times a day if you're an employed blogger. But definitely consider putting a blog on your website and getting at least one blog post out there a week, just so that you have some relevant content on your website. Now, the third system we're going to talk about briefly is the email system. And there are 3 things that you need to do on an email system. They are collect, connect, and clean up. So a lot of you might be using MailChimp or maybe even Aweber as an email marketing platform, and that's great. We're going to talk a little bit more about that for those of you who don't know what those things are. We're going to introduce you to a few of those things. But on a weekly basis, the 3 things I want you to do are, first of all, collect email addresses. Make sure that you have a sign-up form on your website. And if you decide to use an opt-in incentive or a free download or some kind of bonus or coupon or something that someone gets for signing up for your email list, you can include that there, but collect email addresses. The second thing on a weekly basis to do, and I realize it's hard to do this every single week, but try to connect with your email list. We're really good about connecting with our Twitter audiences or our Instagram audience or our YouTube audience. But sometimes we forget that the people on our email list are an audience as well, and we're not normally entrepreneurs aren't connecting with them the way we need to be. And the third thing is clean it up. People are gonna opt in, people are gonna opt out. Keep your email list clean. When people opt out, let them go. Don't worry about it. Don't get discouraged about losing some people off your list. Your list is gonna keep growing for a really long time if you apply some of these principles we use in this course. And your list is gonna become a really valuable asset for you. So I encourage you to practice those 3 things on a weekly basis. The fourth system that I want us to talk about is your content system. So content is kind of a big scary thing. And again, we're gonna dive into it deeper in one of the modules. But the high level concept here is this. Every week, I want you to think of 3 messages and only 3 messages that you communicate to your audience. Now this might be on your blog, it might be on your email list, it might be on your social media accounts, but try not to muddy more than one message into your communications for the week. So decide at the beginning of the week what your 3 content messages are going to be, and we'll use those in the next system, which we're jumping to right now, and that is your social media system. Like I said about the content, try to communicate no more than 3 messages. So you'll see on the worksheet that we've listed Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook all as platforms. We listed these just because these are popular platforms. I'm familiar with them, they've worked for me, but there are lots of other social media platforms out there that you might want to be engaging in. Now, I would encourage you not to force yourself to engage on all of them. Pick a top 3. You don't have to use the 3 that we've mentioned, but every week, try to eke out at least 1 post for each of the messages on each of the platforms that you've decided to focus on. Simple as that. Now, the 6th system that we talk about in the course is the product system. Reflecting on your product offerings on a weekly basis is going to bring you clarity over time. We've given you 5 spots on this worksheet to reflect on those products or services. So on your free tier, that's probably going to be your email opt-in. You're going to need to change this maybe once a year, maybe every 6 months. You'll start to get to know your audience, and you'll start to get a better feel for what they need, and you'll be able to adjust your opt-in as you get to know them better. Then you need a low price product, something maybe under $50, maybe under $25, depending on your audience and where they fall. I'll tell you in a second why. Then I recommend 2 middle tiers. Maybe if you've got a low-end product at $50, maybe your next tier is $150, and then the tier after that is $250. And then you'll have a premium product that might be $500 or even more. Now, the reason I want you to have a range of products is because a lot of times people are going to come to you and your business on the lower part of the tier. They're gonna opt into your email, they're gonna give you an email address, and you're gonna give them a free product. It's a long jump to go from a free product to a $1,500 e-course. So you need to make sure you have products and offerings along the way where you're building trust and creating connection with your customer so that you can get the people who need to get to the $1,500 product, so you can get them there. Now, every time you ask your customer or your audience to jump from tier to tier, you're gonna lose some customers, and that's back to letting go of the opt-outs. Not everyone is your customer, and you don't need to try to please everybody. I love Brene Brown's quote about, "You're not the jackass whisperer. It's not your job to win over the haters." I think I butchered the quote, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, the seventh system and the final system, even though there are two more boxes on the worksheet that we're going to talk about, is the administrative system. So we're creatives, none of us like administrative stuff. We don't like to mess with money. I personally decided a long time ago, I don't even like to fill out forms. I would love to just hire somebody and have them fill out all of the tax forms and health insurance forms and everything that requires detail-orientedness. You may not feel that way, but for a lot of creatives, we struggle with the administrative side of running a business. This is the most broken down way I can tell you to do that. And if you'll do this on a weekly basis, I promise it's going to change the course of your business. It did for me, and I'll tell you why in a second. The first two sections in the admin are do and team. So the do is just there to remind you that you've got bills coming up, taxes that need to be paid on a weekly basis, just where you could even print out multiple sheets and fill out some due things in advance, but really kind of keep track of what's coming up in the financial and tax section of your business, and you can write this information here. Team means you have people that are helping you and you need to be taking care of them. You need to be taking care of yourself, and then you need to be taking care of the people closest to you. This might mean as simply as taking all the girls on your team and going to get a pedicure. Sometimes my team does Wine Wednesdays. If you're ever in Oklahoma City and want to join us for Wine Wednesday, I welcome you to join us. Sometimes this means buying your videographer Mexican food after she shoots a video. But it's all about connection and team building. It's super fun. Just make sure you do it once a week. Make sure you don't get so caught up in your business that you forget to let the people around you know that they matter. Now we're going to dive into some dollar stuff here. And I don't want to lose you on this. So if you have any questions, let me know and we'll go dive into a webinar, or I'll re-record this if necessary. I want you to, on these boxes every week, first of all, write your gross income. So gross income is your total amount of sales. Just if you sold $500 on Etsy and Etsy is your channel of choice, your only channel of revenue, you're gonna put $500 right there. Then on the next line, you're gonna put your expenses. Now, if you're running an accounting software, you can pull your expenses from that normally. Another thing that you can do is just keep a running tab of how much you've spent per week. You could log into your credit card statements and pull this out of there. You could keep copies of your receipts. But total your expenses once a week and write the amount in the line below there. Then I want you to subtract your expenses from your gross income. This is gonna give you your net income. Now your net income is really important, and I know that gross income and net income and expenses I don't wanna lose you on this dollars talk. But the net income is really cool and important to understand because that's how much money you've made before taxes. Now I want you to figure out how much money you're gonna make after taxes, because the wealthiest person I know told me one time that in business, I would be successful if I focused on after-tax cash flow. So how much money are you gonna make after taxes? And if I can get you to focus on this once a week, it's going to change the course of your business. So we're gonna move forward and I'm gonna continue to explain how you're gonna do that. Okay, so we're focusing on after-tax cash flow. Now you're gonna have to figure out some percentages, and I'm gonna give you some recommendations before I tell you how to do the math on all this. I want you to figure out what percentage of your income you think you're gonna have to pay taxes on. I would recommend thinking about 25 to 35% of your net income going to taxes. Then, another thing you might wanna think about is charity or tithing. What percentage of your net income are you interested in giving to an organization or a nonprofit? So that's probably gonna be anywhere between 1 and 10%. And finally, savings. Now, here's the interesting thing to think about this. If we take your net income and we subtract, let's say 30% for taxes and then 10% for savings, that's gonna give us 60% basically still left in your bank account. So you could really save a lot if you were careful with your budget. So you might want to save anywhere from 20 to maybe even 30%. Once you know those percentages, you can calculate what the dollar amounts need to be and subtract those from your net income every month. And you can record them on the sheet right here. And if you do this, you'll always have money for taxes at the end of the year. You'll always be able to give to the charitable organizations of your choice. And you'll always have a savings account for when stuff gets tough and you need to tap that. And nobody told me this. This is something I figured out probably about 2 or 3 years ago in business. Implementing this system in my business has changed the course of our cash flow and has ensured that we will be profitable and sustainable over the long run. So it's very important. Last thing on the admin section is upcoming. I have a bookkeeper, and once a week I call her and I say, what have we got coming up? She's a lot better about kind of understanding where we are on payments and things like that. And she'll always give me a little bit of an education about what we've got coming up. And I put that here so that I know and I'm prepared. Now that's the end of our 7 systems, but there are 2 more boxes on the sheet that I want to talk to you about. The first one is a daily system. So as most of you guys know, the Day Designer is something that I created because I needed reminders on a daily basis. And focusing on what we do, focusing on the small things that we need to do on a daily basis will change the course of where we end up in the long run. So it's really important. I've included a couple little things like just daily activities that you can think about. SEO, which we'll dive into in a later module, email systems, and quit. Quit came from Bob Goff, who always recommended quitting something on Thursday. And I recommend killing things on your to-do list. I think we overcommit all too quickly. And I want this to be your permission to let something go so that you can focus on things that are more important. And then the last box is just a blank box for you to use as a monthly overview. Fill in the dates for that month and you can use that to help plan and get a picture about what's coming up. So that is the summary of the at a glance business management page, business planning page that I created for this course. I hope you guys enjoy it, use it, print it out, #BizDesigners, let me know how it's going. Thanks for being a part of this course, and I'm so excited to get to know you guys better. I know I keep saying that, but I really am.